doing the Gun Show. We've had great guests on the last couple weeks, and let's add another one to it right now. It's our buddy Pete Wentz in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Sort of in the building, a different building, if you would. What's up, man? How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good. Does it give you? Are you happy for me that I still can bring the energy even if I'm in isolation?
I do. No, I am. Yeah, it's impressive. I like the energy, even from You think your neighbors can hear, or they don't? Like, you got the headphones in, so they can't hear nothing.
If they do, they're probably very excited for me, or they just hate me, or they haven't said anything. They hate me and haven't said anything to me just yet. You know?
Nah, I think they're psyched. They're psyched. You got a young, energetic guy in the building.
Listen, man, I just love music. I love being on the air, and I guess we'll start with this, man. First of all, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. It's interesting, because it's like you're lucky if you get to be bored. You know what I mean? That means you're very lucky, Right. And so in that regard, I'm grateful, and I'm grateful for the time I spend with my family, and not grateful for all the dishes that I do. I'm not grateful. But like my issues within quarantine are very small comparatively to people who are on the front lines, who are working at grocery stores, who are, working in hospitals, delivering food. So the complaints are so minuscule to me. You know what I mean? Like, if we just have to stay home for a couple months, and that's really what it's going to be, then so be it. You know what I mean? It's just an interesting time because we live in an age where there's just so much information out there, and the information is relentless, and it's very hard to verify what information.
Right.
It changes day to day, and
overbearing, and you just don't know. Yeah, and anxiety through the roof. You know what I mean? You don't know what to believe. Yeah. It's
interesting also because we're living in you're back in a monoculture. You know what I mean? Like, for the last 10 years, we've not been in a monoculture. We've been in everyone is in their own bubble, you know what I mean? On the internet and everything, you're in your own bubble. And now we again are in a monoculture where not everybody, but 90% of the world has the same fears, the same anxiety,
right,
same desires, you know what I mean? So in some ways it's strange because it's kind of relatable, you know what I mean? Like, when was the last time it was like that? Like World War II or something, it's right, kind of crazy.
Yeah, no, for sure. The fact is that we're all against this common whatever. We're all scared. You know what I mean? Or we're scared for the future, or the unsureness of what's gonna lie ahead. And it's funny because, if it was 3 months ago or 3.5 months ago, my friends might have hit me up and been like, "Hey, let's go to a bar." And it's a Friday night. I'd be like, maybe I don't want to go to the bar right now. You know what I mean? But now, it was okay to stay inside. But now that we can't go outside, it's like all of a sudden it's that old adage of you always want what you can't have. It's like we can't go outside right now. But 3 months ago, I didn't want to go outside. But now I want to go outside,
Yeah, my kids want to go to school. You know what I mean? That's bizarre. Usually it's a fight. So
have you learned anything about yourself in the last couple of weeks? I mean, LA, Cali, they were one of the first ones to shut down. Have you picked up a skill, or have you learned anything about yourself? New, I guess.
I mean, the relentless look inwards can be a little brutal. You know what I mean? I think it's good. It's good that we're, a lot of us are taking the time to do it. I mean, some things I've started doing, I started doing some mantra meditation, and some stuff where I'm you should have probably always been doing this.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, like laundry,
yoga, that kind of stuff. Stuff that you know what I mean, stuff that you probably should have already been doing. One of the things I've actually had a good a chance to do is I've gotten tight with a bunch of my neighbors. I got a guy that I've been writing music with who lives 2 houses away, and then there's a drummer a house away. And it was oh my God, we could have a little band in our cul-de-sac. You know what I mean?
Nice.
It was something that I don't think any of us had really focused on, but those are the people that I'm closest to besides my family as far as distance wise now.
It's like the movie The Sandlot, how it was just pick up baseball, but instead of pick up baseball, it's Yo, we're going back to the garage days, yo. Pick
You know what I mean?
Bring your amp over, roll it on down the street, bro. Let's go.
You know what I mean? We're close to it.
The final question on this, and we got so much to talk about as we speak here with Pete Wentz, Fall Out Boy, and more. Have you watched Tiger King yet?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've been watching. So you're normal. You've seen Tiger King like the rest of America. So,
yes.
And I don't want to get into it because personally, Carol Baskins definitely killed her husband. Definitely fed him to tigers.
I mean, it seems like it would be hard for there not to be have been something that went on down there. I would say about what I would say about Tiger King. My two big takes on Tiger King are because most of the way I feel about it is probably how everybody else feels about it. You know what I mean? But my two big takes are Joe Exotic has a fit. He's like a fit king. If you look at his outfits, like the one he threw on, the paramedic jacket that he threw on when she got her arm bit.
Right, just had it. Yeah.
He got his arm bit. Yeah. I mean, I'm basing my whole looks on Joe Exotic outfits.
The guy's got style. The guy has style, bro.
And then the other thing I'll say is a couple of them are on Cameo, and you can like really surprise your friends by getting like a cameo of one of the guys. Okay,
that's a good get for sure. That'd
not
be good.
Joe and not Carol, but everybody else, pretty much.
That'd be a good get for a birthday surprise for somebody. You know what I mean? It'd be like a birthday message. Question though, the reason I asked that, besides the fact that Tiger King, who do you not hate more, because obviously you don't know them, but who's a worse person, Carol Baskin or Jerry Krause? And I bring up Jerry Krause from.
Oh man!
Because Jerry Krause, obviously, the Last Dance, you had to watch it, right? The ESPN Michael Jordan documentary.
Yeah, I've only watched the first two episodes. I guess that's all that's out.
Yeah,
and it's so wild because I kind of like vaguely. So I grew up in Chicago in the era. Went to the games. I remember the culture, but there was like so many nuances that you didn't really know. Like I didn't know about like Scottie Pippen being underpaid. You know, you just didn't, really, as a kid, you didn't really like think about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they were like talking about breaking up the team. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know. Like it's so interesting. But I do remember Michael Jordan's Hall of Fame speech, and he definitely name dropped Jerry Krause, and it definitely was like, "There's Jerry Krause's seat. He's not here. I didn't even invite him, so I don't know why he would be here anyway."
Did he do
like? Yeah, yes. You're like, bro, this guy just does not like him.
But I know you were a Bulls guy, and I know you had to have been watching on Sunday when it first dropped. I mean, I felt like every sports fan in the country, finally we got something sports related to watch. You know what I mean? So I had to bring that up
it's
to
pretty
you.
good. And Jordan has some zingers. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's got some zingers.
Yeah. I'm stoked to see what happens, man, because there's so many rumors about it and stuff, like what he was doing, etc. And like, listen, man, it's a 10-part series. That's a lot of info.
It's 10 parts.
It's
I
10
thought it was 6.
parts. No,
10. Wow.
10. Oh yeah. So we've got a lot going on. So listen, let's get to the music aspect of that. We speak here with Pete Wentz from Fall Out Boy, but he also just dropped a brand new track. And I gotta admit, when I first heard or just heard the word like cuts in it, and obviously it was for cheap cuts, I thought it was Captain Cuts at first, who are... so I was about to text him and be like, yo, you got a Wentz track? Let's go. But it's Cheap Cuts. It's solid, man. And I'm so stoked that you put it out now. I just had All Time Low on a couple weeks ago on the Gunz show, and they were scared shitless about dropping new music now because, I mean, they put out a full album, but they were like, listen, the music industry is essentially shut down right now. You can't really do promo. You can't do any, radio shows or anything. And you look at Lady Gaga. She postponed, and Bon Jovi just postponed, and Luke Bryan. But All Time Low went with it, and so did The Weeknd. They dropped their new music, and I feel like now more than ever, people need music. And I love this vibe, man. I know that you've been working on it for years and finally kind of figured it out. Reminds me of like that mid-1990s Fatboy Slim-esque, like just a good vibe, dude. So congrats on the song, man. I really like it, dude. It's a jam.
Thanks,
it's a vibe. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, listen, this was just a song. Like, I'm always listening to new music. This is a song with these guys from the UK, Cheap Cuts. I like the song. It's a different thing. You know what I mean? Like, there's lots of things that come up for me musically that don't fit in with Fall Out Boy. Like I think that I have a respect for the band and for what it means to people that you can't put everything, like not everything makes sense in that lane, and I want to respect that. But at the same time, like sometimes there's like bizarre, fun things to do. Like I've been into this Baz Luhrmann song called Sunscreen, which everybody should check out because it's got a really cool vibe and a really like almost kind of like advice or mantras that you could really listen to right now in quarantine and probably, take something away from it. But I've been trying to make a song like that for years, and it's just been really hard. And this song, because it's hard to get the nuance, like it's like irreverent, but it doesn't feel like it's shitting on people and shitting on culture. And
right.
I think that's what Check Your Phone kind of was. And it was just such a strange song because all of a sudden we were about to put it out, and it was like, oh my God, like it has all this stuff in it that relates to the moment we're in, and that it wasn't written in the moment we're in. And
right.
It was a little scary in that way, in that regard. But I think it's interesting because like people are putting off music, people are putting off, movies, but like then you look at other people like Dua Lipa, like moving her record up, like I think that this is a time where if you're able to operate semi-independently and you're able to create, this is like a cool time to just try some stuff. And I don't think first of all, I think everyone's going to give everything a chance. And I don't think that you're going to get penalized because you try something different or try to put something out. It doesn't work. Like, it doesn't work. But I don't think people are bored, anxious, scared, staying up late, waking up early. I think this is the time to, as an entertainer, put things into the world that can take people's minds off of their current situation.
Right.
And if they love it, they love it. And if they don't, they don't. But like, I think that like that's the closest, to me right now, that's the closest like an actor or a musician is going to be to like helping people in the world. Like that's the best you could do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
At least
I'm not smart enough to try to like find a vaccine. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like, this is like the small contribution you can make.
Right. Leave that to like the Bill Gates of the world. Like
Exactly.
what I can do in my lane, in my world, is I can release or at least give something, put something on the plate for somebody else to hopefully
Exactly.
take
It's the same thing as you doing the show in your apartment with headphones on.
Right.
It's important for people who are your listeners to have somewhere to turn to. You know what I mean? Like you could easily just go sit on your couch and just kind of wait it out. I don't think that the good and what you contribute to the world, like, I mean, you're leaving so much on the table if you don't do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's better to perhaps be proactive. And especially in these times, like perhaps just do something than not, because it's so easy to not do anything. So why not?
Easy to not do anything. Not only will that like depress you, but like also like maybe there's like one kid out there that's like, oh my God, I liked your song on TikTok or whatever. You know what I mean? Like even if it's just one person, like I mean, like
that's a
this
win.
Is like a big. Yeah. It's a big small world. You know what I mean? I reaching one person is great.
That's a good intro to this because, and by the way, everyone can check out the song real quick because I know you're pressed on time. Are we thinking is this just a one-off? I mean, you've been able to do. Going off what you said before, I loved how like Troman was able to do the damn things because that's not Fall Out Boy right there, but I loved it. I mean, Buckley's vocals are so sick. You know what I mean? Like the damn things are awesome. Patrick was able to do his solo stuff. You've had your own solo, not solo, but off projects in the past, etc.
Yeah.
So I love how and Andy, etc. Everyone's able to do their own thing with Fall Out Boy and still be Fall Out Boy when it needs to be. Are you thinking about perhaps dropping more tracks in the near future?
I have like one other song that I think would be a companion piece to this song. And then I have a bunch of songs just from over the years that have not, are kind of like neither here nor there songs. Like they're not similar. They're not spoken word. They're not the Fatboy Slim kind of thing. They're just these other songs.
Okay.
And I could see like, if we're stuck here long enough, I could see like putting something together. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's easier to do. Like, listen, I'm always ready to do Fall Out Boy. I'm always ready to, but like, I'm constantly, my mind is constantly going, you know what I mean? So like, it's sometimes just as easy to, if I'm just like up at night by myself, to like just work on things in my house or whatever, you know? Yeah, so I could see there being something. I don't have like a big plan, you know what I mean? I don't have like there's no rollout or no like,
right.
Whatever,
there's no marketing
like,
plan. Yeah. 6 months.
Yeah.
Out, like, yeah.
but you know how it is. It's like the longer I'm inside, the more of a chance it's going to happen. Right. You know what I mean? Because like, there's only so much like Monopoly you can play. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I do think that like it could be something. And like, listen, it's something that's been just for fun. It's been fun to collaborate with the Cheap Cuts guys.
Yeah.
There's not a lot riding on it. You know what I mean? And as far as like, if people like it, they like it. Cool. Again, like I don't think I'm like creating like the cure to COVID or something. Right, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just throwing some stuff out there. 2
quick questions. Next year, it's going to be 20 years of the band, which is wild. I mean, that is wild. And, we've spoken throughout the years, man, like, through every process and every next step that you personally have done and Fall Out Boy's done. Like, you've always been on the Gunz show. I've seen you at shows, et cetera, since the Midtown days and et cetera, all that stuff. But we've had you on in the past. And I remember during, like, you looking back about Cork Tree. I don't know if we were celebrating 20 years of Cork Tree, whatever we were doing when we had you on, or 15 years of Cork Tree. And you were like, at that moment, we didn't really know what was going on because it just happened. And like, like maybe didn't live in the moment. You lived in the moment, but you didn't realize what was happening. Look back at 20 years, man, like what do you what do you want to say? Or when did you start actually embracing what was going on? Was it when you were able to kind of just like not really go through routines, but like, you weren't loading in equipment anymore, like, or when did that happen? Or just talk to me about the last 20 years, dude.
Yeah, man. It's crazy because like, it's almost like, it's like 20 years of Fall Out Boy, but it's like 100 years of change within the world, like where like 20 years ago, no Facebook, no Twitter, like, or maybe like Facebook, but like not the way it is now.
Like MySpace and mp3.com and pure volume,
It was like the very beginnings of it all. You know what I mean? Phones weren't the way they were. We weren't interconnected. You weren't using GPS on your phone. You couldn't order things the same way. You just get music from a cloud. You know what I mean? Like all these things, and then it's so funny because almost in some weird ways, like quarantine, like rewind some of that stuff, a little bit. Like you can obviously like listen to music and order stuff off Amazon, but some of the other stuff you're like, oh, this is like, some of it's like the way it was, like you couldn't just like, I don't know, like,
we're back to the basics. We're back to like, it's like,
it wasn't so global, you know what I mean? Like,
totally.
And so, I mean, I think about it in terms of that. I mean, I think about it also like very humbled that our band could even be around for 20 years. You know what I mean? Like that's super, super, super humbling. Like we thought the band would be a band for like a year, 6 months or something. You know what I mean? And so like, that's like really, it's a testament to the fans and the kids that listen to the music, because I think that they've stuck there and we've made some like weird records and strange decisions and they've stuck through that. You know what I mean? Right. And I think it's a testament to them, which is really cool.
I posted I was like, oh, Wentz is going to be, or Pete's going to be, I'll call you Wentz. We'll call you Wentz. I was like, Wentz is going to be on the Gunz show. And it was funny because people started commenting about it. And, I have some readings I just want to read real quick. Anthony Ranieri from Bayside said, remind him in Iowa in 2004, we put vinegar in their stage waters, but before they figured it out, they threw that into the crowd. So congratulations on that. You had,
I remember, by the way, I remember doing that. I remember we were playing like some small show and I think that was the prank. It was in this big era where bands would, prank each other a lot. And we threw the water bottles into the crowd because it was super hot at the show. And the guys from Bayside were like, oh yeah, we had like replaced the water with vinegar. So it was like, sweet. Those kids are psyched.
They're already sweating, probably have some open cuts, and now they've got vinegar.
I can't think of anything worse than drinking like vinegar. I mean, come on.
Then you had Chris Amato from Hidden in Plain View. He said the last show of the Fall Out Boy early November tour back in the day, there would always be some sort of van hazing. But I remember their van was excessively trash and things were actually glued onto it. So I don't...
Yeah, I think that on that tour... Man, was Panic on that tour too? I can't remember, but like I think somebody like glued stuff on the outside of the van. I don't remember.
Right.
It was like by the way, early November, those tours were like super fun back in the day. We hung a ton, but it was like these tours are already like so miserable because you're driving all night and then you're loading your own gear and then we would make it even more miserable by putting like tuna fish cans in people's socks and stuff, like just dumb stuff. It's like, I don't know what we were thinking.
Just pranks galore, man. That's what we did, though. That's how we grew up. We grew up on the road, you know? So, but it was funny, though, man, because a lot of people are just chiming in with their favorite moments for the last 20 years. And when you think about it, man, whether it's like, you know, you brought out Acceptance on tour. I fucking love Acceptance. You know what I mean? Like, you know, they have a signed drum heads from like Acceptance to like the Monument tour, which is still one of my favorites. And like Danny Curley coming out with the suit, you know what I mean? And like, I mean, just so much fun, man. And like the Midtown gym class days to like, you know, Catch 22, like, I mean, to Roseland when Jay and Beyonce were there in New York City and everyone's throwing their diamonds in the sky, man. Like, looking back at the 20 years, man, like, to hop is shaving your head, you know? Like, that's some cool shit, man.
A lot of moments.
Do you ever stop and, like, think about these? Or, like, if anything, I just want to bring a smile to your face, man, because that's a cool life to live so far, dude.
Dude, that's really kind, and you have a better memory for a lot of it than I do. Yeah, man,
What
just like gratitude. I mean, like, and kind of wonder, you know what I mean? Because like Jay-Z and Beyonce are only coming to these shows because the kids in the crowd are so insane. You know what I mean? Like they heard like, and Jay was like the president of Def Jam at the time, but they'd heard that like these shows were insane because the kids would just like sing every word. And that's why, you know what I mean? Like seeing Beyonce dance to like Where's Your Boy is like mind blowing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and it's like we were all there, which is really cool, really special.
That DIY that we all grew up on, man, from the Knitting Factory on to all those shows. And I guess my one last final thing would be, you know, you've had Elton John as your last song. You had Jay open with Thriller. And it's even wild because even with Save Rock and Roller, the Elton John song, like, I always liked the song, but you know how some songs will sometimes hit you differently. But when you guys played it with the MGK tour, for some reason I was like, oh, shit. It like hit me differently, man, even though I had seen it countless times, but it's wild when you're able to do that. And like, you know, you had Jay and all that stuff. Is there a certain memory or bringing out Nintendo Fusion with Panic when they were Baby Panic, you know what I mean? With Starring Line. Is there one that specifically you'll ever look back on and just be like, fist pump and just be like, that's awesome? Wrigley maybe, you know, any of those?
I think that, I mean, one of the craziest ones that I remember was we played in Vegas at the VMAs, and they kind of gave us our own suite to just do whatever we wanted. And Lil Wayne came by, and it was like, you know, a Millie hadn't come out yet, but the mixtapes were like really popping, you know. So like, if you were into hip hop, you knew it was going to happen, but if you weren't, you were like, what is this, you know? And he would do he did like a freestyle over Arms Race, and every time he did it at rehearsal, he would do it differently. He would just reference people in the room while he was doing it, and that was, I remember the moment where I thought, like, well, hey, this guy's like a genius. He's on some like Beatles level stuff, you know what I mean, or like some poetic stuff, and then like, you know, you get those moments where you step out of yourself and you're like, wow, this is so weird. You know, like I'm like looking at this happening. Like I'm watching Andy Hurley like be the backup drummer for Rihanna or whatever, like, and I'm watching it, you know what I mean? And feel very lucky to be just a part of like the wave that's happening. You know what I mean? Like it's all of our waves, you know what I mean? And it's pretty cool when you like have the realization that you're a part of it.
Well, saying all these memories from the past 20 years as we wrap up here with Pete Wentz, I mean, we're hoping 20 more plus to go. And I know that you really can't say too much about this, but there's supposed to be a massive tour this summer. Are we just saying fingers crossed, hella mega tour, man? Like hoping that's, you know, fingers crossed right now. We'll see what happens, but just keep up to date on everything. What do you want to say? I mean, it's still kind of out of our control right now, I guess, right?
Totally. I mean, like, here's the truth is that no one in any of the bands has any more information than anyone on the internet. Like, it's all speculative, you know, like in the same way that it's speculative about, like, you know, this is opening up then, and then, like, these sports are starting now, and like
baseball's being played in Arizona, you know, like things like that. Like what?
Yeah, like grapefruit cactus baseball or whatever, you know, like it's this tour was a really it was a lot to get it together, you know, in general with the bands, and you know, like it just was a lot, and it was a big undertaking, and it really took everybody wanting to do the tour. So it's not one of these tours where you're going like, we've done this tour before, it's not that big of a deal, like if we don't do it, whatever, you know, like I mean, like because we've done it like 3 times. Like this is a tour that like is probably once in a lifetime for the 3 bands that are doing it, like in the perspective of how big it will be, and then from the perspective of like getting all of the pieces to kind of work together, because it's a lot, you know what I mean? No. And so I would say that like this tour may not happen exactly how it was at the time or when it was supposed to happen or how it was supposed to happen, but like the tour will happen. Nice.
Yeah. I mean, and if anything, when tours finally do happen, especially this tour, I mean, dude, you're talking Weezer, Fall Out Boy, Green Day, like, come on now, let's go. And the Interrupters, let's go, baby.
I think it's going to be great when it comes back.
People are going to lose their minds, dude. So fingers crossed, and like, we're so stoked for that. And listen, for anybody who's having a tough time out there, just realize when concerts open up again, we are going to lose our shit, dude. We are going to have so much fun. The bands are going to be happy. The fans are going to be happy. And that's all that matters, man. So obviously, we're hoping that everything works out with that. And we're stoked that, you know, something, whatever it is, will be happening. So
totally.
Cool, man. Thank you, Pete. I know we went a little bit over, but thank you so much, man. Always a good time catching up. Anything, last words you want to say to everybody out there? Check out the new song, you know, by what's we call it? Cheap Cuts. We got Cheap Cuts. Check your phone, because if you're in quarantine and you're ignoring somebody, then you're literally just ignoring them because you have nothing else to do right now. It's like the ultimate, they don't want to talk to you if they're not answering your phone at this moment, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
And Gunz's neighbors, please don't complain about him. He's doing the Lord's work here on Zoom.
Keeping it real. You only live once. You live like us. Once is enough. Here he is, exactly. Pete Wentz. Here it is. His brand new track, Cheap Cuts. It's called Check Your Phone. Then we got Fall Out Boy. More. I'll play Cheap Cuts into Where Did the Party Go? Because I ask that every single day when I'm stuck inside. It's Pete Wentz. Right. It's Gunz. My man.